And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Disclosure Dialogues with Gary and Jonny. There's a lot been happening in the UFO world in the last couple of days. It's difficult to keep up, but we've got some wonderful clips for you, really engaging stuff, and we're going to cut straight to it and dive into what's coming out of the officials in the US. How's it going, John?
Oh, hi, Gary. Yeah, what a few days it's been.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? It's just full on. There's just clips and everybody's still calling them drones. I think our friend in Mexico, Cico Ativo, said that he's still putting drones on his descriptions because that's what's catching the algorithms to get it out to more people and all the rest of it.
Now it makes sense because until they've proven they are drones, they can't be any, sorry, I've got that the wrong way around. Until they've proven otherwise, they're drones.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so look, I've lined up a bunch of clips. I'm going to share the screen, and I'm going to cut straight to the first clip. Well, I'm going to play the first and the second clip together, and then we'll have a talk about it. Here we go.
Focus now. Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey, member of the House Judiciary Committee on the Hill right now. How do you address this at this point?
Well, here's the real deal, Harris. I'm also on the Transportation Committee, on the Aviation Subcommittee, and I've gotten to know people. And from very high sources, very qualified sources, very responsible sources, I'm going to tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off, I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones, is everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. Now, we know there was a probability it could have been our own government. We know it's not our own government because they would have let us know. It could have been some really glorified hobbyist or hobbyists that were doing something unbelievable. They don't have the technology. But let's pretend that's possible. The third possibility was somebody, an adversarial country, doing this. Know that Iran made a deal with China to purchase drones, motherships, and technology in order to go forward. The sources I have are good. They can't reveal who they are because they are speaking to me in confidentiality. These drones should be shot down. Whether it was some crazy hobbyist that we can't imagine or whether it is Iran, and I think it very possibly could be, they should be shot down. We are not getting the full deal, and the military is on alert with this.
Look,
Jen. Sabrina, can you tell me what the Pentagon is doing to address this issue of drone sightings over New Jersey? It's near sensitive installations. The FBI is involved. What is the Pentagon doing?
Sure. So at this time, aware of those drone sightings that have been reported, at this time we have no evidence that these activities are coming from a foreign entity or the work of an adversary. We're going to continue to monitor what is happening, but at no point were our installations threatened when this activity was occurring.
Can you rule out that these are American drones or U.S. military drones?
These are not U.S. military drones. Again, this is being investigated by local law enforcement. What our initial assessment here is that these are not drones or activities coming from a foreign entity or adversary.
Representative Jeff Van Drew, who is a Republican from New Jersey, was just on the air saying that Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones, and that mothership is off the coast of the east coast of the United States. Is there any truth to that?
There is not any truth to that. There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States, and there's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
Okay, so I've been speaking to top people. They're high up. I can't tell you who they are because they spoke to me in confidence, but I'm telling you exactly what they told me because that's how I keep confidences, right?
Trust me, bro.
Trust me. I'm telling you what these people told me not to tell anybody because they told me in confidence, but I'm coming straight on camera and telling you it's the Chinese flogging motherships to Iran so they can launch them off the. So he gets made to look an idiot within a couple of minutes, with the Pentagon briefing. The other laughable thing he said was, if it was us, the Americans, the military, we would know because they'd tell us, because they're bastions of honesty, aren't they? When they come out and sort of tell everybody what's going on. What the?
Yes, the last couple of days has honestly been a roller coaster, and that set of facts is just hilarious. So first of all, it's definitely not a foreign adversary. We know that it's not a foreign adversary. We also know it's not our own military. And then it turns out it's an Iranian ship off the coast of blah, blah, blah. And then we know that that's not true as well. Right. So we've got all these wonderful facts that amount to Sodor.
Yeah. I know.
Gross incompetence of the first kind.
I like that, John. All right, look, I'm gonna line up the next clip now. Most of these first clips are just basically based on these people saying things and the inquiries, okay, and the Congress. And so here's the Congress hearing.
Gentleman's time has expired. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Chairman. And, sometimes I feel like I'm in the twilight zone up here. Like month after month, people come before us, they testify, and you don't get a lot of answers. And it's concerning. It's frustrating. You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are. You're telling me that a lot of these, Mr. Jones, you're telling me that 95% of these drones along the U.S.-Mexico border, we can't interact because they're not in U.S. territory?
That is correct. A large proportion of them stay in foreign airspace.
I'll tell you what, there are a lot of Americans.
Well, why have they got drones on the board if they're not to come across the border when they've been smuggling drugs using drones and God knows what else for years? These guys, I honestly think, genuinely have no idea.
So in 1960, whatever it was, when the Russian submarines were taking nuclear missiles to Cuba, presumably then, I mean, that's 60 years ago, they couldn't do anything because it wasn't in their territory.
You're asking me, Gary? I mean, it's a farce. Their answers. I don't think these particular guys in that thing were lying. I think this was genuine, an absolute screw up of the legislation which allows them to do this. They're all talking about, well, we're not allowed to shoot them down. We're not allowed to do that. They're not actually doing anything illegal. We don't know what they are, but we don't think they're harmful. We don't know what they are, in which case you can't make any judgment whatsoever about what their intentions are, nothing. This is the mystery. So while they're all avoiding work because it's not their jurisdiction, everybody else is saying, what are they? Why don't you shoot? Why don't you capture one? Why don't you follow it? Why don't you grab one? Why don't you see what they are? We all know that. We all know that.
I know.
And this is not saying, well, it's against state regulations and the FAA can't do this and the this and the that. But somewhere somebody has some idea.
Well, this is what we're going to try and get to. Now, listen to this. Listen to this next one, because it just gets more and more laughable.
We did have a long briefing yesterday at the request of myself and a handful of other legislators that the governor organized with both state and federal authorities that included the colonel of the New Jersey State Police, representatives from the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness, and the United States Department of Homeland Security. And what came out of that meeting is the same thing. They doubled down on their narrative that there's no threat, but then they can't explain why. To the contrary, what they go through is a litany of things that they claim that they don't know. They know that that they can't track them. They know that they don't emit a signal. They know that they can't see them when they turn their lights out. They know that they vary in size from a foot or so in circumference to as much as 10 feet. The colonel indicated that they had sent New Jersey State Police helicopters to try to intercept them on a couple of occasions, and when they approach them, they simply go dark and disappear. They also indicated that they don't know where they come from, they don't know where they go to. All of those seem like interesting or odd sort of responses to, as Admiral Kirby said, if they're not drones, and they seem to be consistent with manned aircraft. And
so you saw the 3 clips there, which had the counties in America that these things were flying over, and they're being videoed flying over. But the guy on the Congress hearing just before that said that they're not in our territory. Mr. Jones, the guy sitting next to the uniformed man, he seemed to have a smirk on his face when he was being asked the questions, because he looked like he was genuinely the guy that drew the short straw in the office beforehand. Like, you're the one who's going to go out there and answer these questions, right?
Yeah.
But that just confirmed what you were just saying, right? That the helicopters have approached them, that they go dark, that they.
Yes, it would seem to be, and I wasn't sure of this to start with, because for us the natural assumption was go and follow them. Can't you track them with all your sophisticated electronic gear that you've been developing over millions of years, which you use all around the world, doing all sorts of stuff. I mean, how do we get satellites up there? Blah blah blah. Of course you can track a drone. But if they can't track these drones, which it appears to be the case, then we don't know that they're drones.
We don't. What we got next? Listen to this. This is farcical, the way this guy answers questions.
Cell phones that we're seeing. Basically, with what you're looking at, how can you credibly tell people that there is no public safety threat, there's no national security threat, that there's no reason to believe that a foreign government is involved?
Because the analysis thus far, in an investigation that is ongoing, has not revealed any national security or malicious intent or criminal activity. But, Jackie, I would remind you, we're at the beginning here, not the end. There's a lot more work to be done, and we're working closely with state and local authorities to gain more information. I would argue that we're moving pretty well here with a sense of energy to try to figure out what we can do to learn more about this. We're still in the middle of an ongoing investigation, and I'm up here explaining to you and let you know what we know so far, what we believe so far. If information comes to light that changes that characterization, then my goodness, we'll be the first ones to let you know. But right now, there's just no indication that this is some sort of foreign malign activity or, in fact, even criminal.
Well, what I don't understand is,
I'm up here telling you everything we know, and they've got a hotline out, the FBI now, saying, if you know anything, let us know, because we don't know, Soddle.
Is there more of this clip? Because
he
said something even funnier.
There's more of this clip. There's more funny stuff coming.
Okay.
But I just wanted to stop there just to comment on what he just said.
He reminds me of Jerry Lewis.
And I would argue that we're doing pretty well.
I loved it. And honestly, the guy's a proper comedian. He's in the wrong job.
He's in the wrong job. Listen to what he carries on saying then.
Been happening since late November. I don't know that the law enforcement officials or residents in New York and New Jersey, or even the Democratic senators who wrote to Director Ray Mayorkas and the FAA administrator today would think that this has been handled with a sense of urgency. But that being said, has the President or the Secretary of Defense issued any guidance to NORTHCOM or military installations to act on these systems if they're deemed to be a threat in any way? And what's the benchmark for that determination?
So 2 thoughts. First of all, you're right, late November. It is now, the 12th of December. So I think it shows that we're moving on with this, and we're going to stay on it. So I want to disabuse you of any notion that we're not taking.
Talk about waffle.
No, the calendar is moving.
The calendar.
Up.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's late November. And it was actually the 13th of November, so it's a month, right? So he's just shaved 2 weeks off of that, very conveniently. But let's eat up some of the time with me just telling you about the calendar.
Seriously, because we are. I can also tell you that if the President, as Commander-in-Chief, believed based on the information that he'd been given, that there was a national security threat at play here, or even a public safety threat at play here, he would issue the appropriate directives to not only law enforcement, but perhaps even the military if that was needed. I want to go back to something I said at the top. There has been no evidence of any of this activity in or near restricted spaces.
That's not what the senators said in the letter. They said, in fact, that they've been observed maneuvering near critical infrastructure, sensitive locations, including reservoirs and military installations, and cited a concern from law enforcement about public safety threats because a medevac helicopter was prevented from transporting a seriously injured patient for care because of the presence of these drones.
I stand by my opening statement.
What dickhead.
Politicians have no shame, do they? No shame whatsoever.
Are you going to show more? Because I know there's something else he said.
Well, I didn't. I mean, he went on for a while. There is more, but I can't remember exactly what. Let me play it. So, I just wanted to pick up on the fact where she said like that's all I've got of Kirby playing at the moment. He said more.
Well, what I wanted to tell you what he said. He said, as of now, there is no corroborative evidence that any of these mystery drones are mystery drones. He said it's all sighting. It's all planes, helicopters, whatever.
Oh, I didn't get
ended up denying the existence of everything that's been on all that national TV.
Really, I missed that. He gaslighted every single person in the world and all the people.
It's just misinterpretation of plane.
I'm staggered. I mean, because the mayor, I think of Morris County came on again. I haven't got that clip. But
he's great, that guy.
He's great, and he just said they asked him what he thought of what Kirby said, and he said, "Well, it's just stupid, just stupid."
Yeah, and Gonzalez, the congressman, said this guy's an idiot.
Idiot. Yeah, he should be taken out, and
No, he should. He should go back to vaudeville or wherever it was he came from.
I wanted to pick up
Jerry
on her
Lewis.
saying, has the president been advised, right? Is the president involved? I want to remind people that the president's brain at the moment is cottage cheese. And I've got this. I just thought I'd pull up a random clip of him recently when he was having his debate with Donald Trump, just to emphasise the fact that he'd be the last person you'd go to, to say that we've got a bit of a problem.
Because he's still officially president, isn't he?
We need to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
It's like the Muppet Show.
This guy's running the largest country, the biggest, most powerful country in the free world, and he's I mean, you've got to love Trump. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. He doesn't. So what? As the president been advised?
It's going to seriously upset me if President Trump ends up, coming out with the truth and everything. Not because I don't want to hear the truth. I just don't want to hear it from President Trump.
No, I don't mind it. Who knows? I think we got so many unpredictable times ahead. With who's going to come.
This is crazy. I reckon this is possibly the craziest. We're just lucky for now that we haven't experienced proper war in this country, not in our lifetime, because it's happening everywhere else.
Well, I think I personally, if this is extraterrestrial, if this is something that people have been talking about for years, with the connection with the military and the fact that we're nearly at war, World War III, then
exactly the all of these fictional possibilities.
Yeah,
are
they're tantalising, aren't they?
The
next clip I've got lined up is this guy in the emergency Congress hearing from the other night, because I think what he says is quite explosive as well. Let's listen to that.
Yeah, they were good.
So last night I was on the beach in Island State Park in Ocean County with the sheriff. He has been working it every single night. He's got his own tethered drones chronicling. One of his officers 2 nights ago saw 50 drones come in off the ocean right there. So we thought maybe they'll replicate it. They didn't, but we thought it was a possibility. Last night, we had a number of other people there, including a commanding officer from the Coast Guard, who said that one of their 47-foot motor lifeboats was followed by between 12 and 30 of these drones as they went through the water, followed right behind them. And I said, what's the rules of engagement? I mean, you do it if you're fighting against a narco trafficker or something. And they said, we don't know. We don't have any.
We don't know.
So I did reach out to the commanding officer at the Joint Base, which is also in my district, and talked to him, had a very good conversation, Colonel Anthony Smith, Joint Base Fort Dix McGuire, the 87th Air Wing, Air Base Wing today. And I said, I know you have the capability. You've put out press releases to identify and bring down drones. Why can't you deploy them at least to the ocean? Bring one of these down, find out who's doing it. They have the capability. They said, we don't have the authority, only within the parameters of our base.
Well, this is what I discovered, how their admin and bureaucracy is actually strangling any real action.
Can't believe they don't have the authority. They got 50 drones coming across and into the American territory, and they're going, we don't know what the rules of engagement are. We don't know what we're allowed to do. We don't have the money.
It's sort of like political correctness in many ways. They're all so scared of the backlash if it goes wrong.
What must, if they've authorised missiles to be fired, American and UK missiles to be fired into Russia and China, right? Which is, seriously putting us at threat of World War III, as we know.
But we can't bring a drone down in our own backyard.
What must Russia and China and Iran be doing now? They must be rolling around on the floor laughing at the incompetence.
Unless they're all in on it.
Unless they're all in on it. This is the other thing. Okay, so this next clip comes from our good friend at Casper's site. He's pulled something off of TikTok.
Yeah.
Now, I brought this up because of this talking about going in and out of the ocean. Let me play it, and then because I know what you think about it, and I'm pretty much with you. But let's have a look at it, because this is worth. It's worth pointing out that people need to be careful about what they're seeing, because there's so much stuff out there at the moment.
Hang on, whereabouts was this? New drone spotted tonight off west coast entering the ocean.
Someone called the cops on these lights.
Triangle. Again, I mentioned this on the last video, and the significance of triangles. Another triangle.
See, even the police, they're going crazy.
These aliens are attacking.
Another triangle. I'm not going to say it for the last one.
Oh my god, now cars they're starting to notice. Here comes another. Oh, fire truck.
I mean, what's a fire truck going to do anyway if there's these things out in the sea?
I don't think that fire truck had anything to do with that whatsoever. That was just life on the street.
And it sounded like one of those things where, where people they film stuff and it's fake, and then they're pretending they're narrating it, but they're somewhere else.
Yeah, I saw this now twice in the last couple of days, and compared to everything else we've seen recently, and it's funny how over the years we've all been desperate for clear images, and in the last few days we've had news items and real film that, whilst not particularly clear, show something. This one was so constructed.
Looks like it, doesn't
it? My first reaction was that this is fake. It's CGI. And we've not heard anything about that. And if there was something as obvious as that for real, this person wouldn't have been the only one to have seen it. we'd have seen more of that.
I think you're right.
I
you're right.
think that's a fake.
I think you're right, and I think
What
that's.
do I know? But it didn't
Well,
look.
well, yeah. I mean, I think
It was almost too clean.
It was too clean. I
clean.
brought it up because I think that's there's going to be so much out there at the moment which is questionable. I mean, there's still bloody fuzzy lights in the sky, which is what I've said about UFOs for years and years and years, which is, as you know, why I love crop circles more, because I can walk around in them and, but there it is anyway. There is some good footage of somebody did a time lapse of with a good night camera, Sony camera. Have a look at this. So it's speeded up 64 times, tracking all of these things flying around the sky in New Jersey.
And this was actually from New Jersey, was it?
Yeah, I believe it was. I'll double check that.
It almost looks like some kind of life, doesn't it? Little water insects going about their business.
Yeah, but they seem to all be going down a similar very flight path. It's just there's a pattern to it. Do you know what I mean?
Now, when you're looking up at the sky these days, I know there's 1,000,001 man-made things up there. You've got all these, is it called Starlink?
Yeah.
There's so many satellites. Me and my friend once watched a satellite from the Himalayas in India. We thought, what the hell is that moving?
Yeah.
What the hell is that moving? And we just by using reason worked out it must have been a satellite.
Yeah. But look at some of these now. They glow.
But they're all coming from up. They're coming from somewhere below. Yeah.
Well, they're coming from the horizon. You're coming across the horizon.
Oh, I see. Okay. So
yeah. So.
It's not Middle Earth. Then.
You can also see that they're lighting up the clouds, as you'll see now. That they're not like, they're not like that last clip where they look like sort of CGI things going into things. These are affecting the environment. You'll see it now. There, you see that come through the cloud like that, and the cloud at the edge of the cloud lit up. There, see that? Look.
Not really.
You can't see it.
No, because
you're on a small screen.
How my screen is.
Yeah, watch this now then. See if you can see it now. This one's quite bright. Watch. So this next clip again comes from Casper Site, and it's somebody in Florida, I believe, showing something which he calls it's dropping off the kids. Look at this one.
Look at this footage of a UAP in Arizona dropping the kids off, mate. Literally, this UAP is dropping something off. Look.
The kids just pointed it out. We're in Surprise, Arizona. And this thing has been flying around like this.
What the what? Where is that?
It's
just
gone.
vanished.
Wait, no.
Oh, it just shot real fast.
It shot real fast?
It's gone.
Wait, no.
Oh, it just gone.
Oh, yeah, you can see it just
swoosh off. Just shot. It's gone.
Wait, no.
Oh, it just shot real fast. Oh, we're in Surprise, Arizona. And this thing has been flying around like this.
What the what? Where is that?
Dropping the kids off.
What can I say?
What can I say?
I mean, my, if you like, belief system when it comes to this kind of thing, and I hate to use that word belief because belief is more akin to some kind of religious faith.
People say to me, you believe in crop circles, do you?
Yeah, all this stuff, belief. So I learned many years ago to be very, very careful or to never use it. All I want is knowledge. I don't have I'll use that word. I don't have a belief in this. I have, I can speculate that there is more to life than we understand. There's far more to life.
No, I've always thought it's very simple. You say, this is what I know. and here's why I know it, because of this, and this data. This is what I don't know. I have no idea. And this is what I'm speculating on.
Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable.
It's perfectly clear,
As
isn't it?
opposed to saying it's impossible.
Yes.
Well, who are you, God?
Well, everything was impossible until physics came. Physics decides. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is true. If someone would have said to somebody in the 70s, we're going to have these phones, right, like Star Trek, that you can talk to each other and face to face, like we're talking now. There's going to be this. It's impossible. Don't be stupid to talk to someone on the other side of the world face to face. What are you on about? Mm-hmm. So it's always impossible until it happens. Okay, next clip. Daytime footage.
Here we go. Look at that. Is that the same sphere that was spotted in the Manchester airport? Is the Manchester airport a fake? The speculation going around that it's a fake. Good edit, mate. Good edit.
Yeah, but is there any context to it? This is one of the problems with videos. We're seeing a helicopter, we're seeing a dot somewhere up there, but what's its history? What's its provenance? What's its context?
You mean the video footage?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the thing.
Well, that's the problem. So I can't make a judgment based on that.
No.
Or even a speculation based on that, because we don't know what the circumstances were, and who's to say it's not a fake?
Absolutely.
It could be absolutely real.
Yes.
But that wouldn't go down either in a court of law or in any science journal.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
It needs context. It needs background. Where was it? What was going on? Otherwise, it's pointless.
Who filmed it? What did they film it on? Where's the raw footage? Let's analyse it. All that kind of stuff. If you're going to stand up to it.
So that's certainly irritating. And because I'm not a believer in that sense, I'm going to keep a healthy skepticism, cynicism. I just want truth.
Quite right too. I brought it up because of this. I've seen lots of footage like that when I was working for Hire Me. There was these balls that just hang up in the sky, and somebody drives by and he used to say to me, what do you think of that? I go, it's a fuzzy thing in the sky,
It could be absolutely real.
It could be.
But how will we know that until it's packaged better? Dare I use that phrase?
So the next clip comes from our friends at Redacted. And they're going to be talking about Ashton Forbes. And Ashton Forbes is a very controversial figure in this field because he says this is all a psyop, and he believes that there's all sorts of big nefarious stuff going on. He's the guy that talks about MH91 or MH391, that plane that went missing.
371.
He talks about that being some sort of military or secret technology that the government are holding to transport things.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
All about that. Yeah.
So anyway, but he makes a very good point at the beginning of this. So listen to this.
A friend of the show, Ashton Forbes, who's going to be on the show soon here again. We've had an interview with Ashton before, but he's going to be back soon here during the holiday season. But he said, it's too bad we don't have some kind of global persistent infrared surveillance system constantly scanning the entire planet. Otherwise, we'd be able to figure out what these drones are and where they're coming from. Oh, wait! We do. SBIR is the space-based infrared system that we have at our disposal. That's exactly what we have already in place to completely scan the United States and the world, for instance, constantly scanning the entire planet. We know exactly where they're coming from. I mean, we can pinpoint and tell you what the movement of trucks in Russia, for crying out loud. We know what underground bunkers are hiding in Iran, for crying out loud. We know exactly where these things are coming from, but we're just not being honest, of course. And then overnight, we got new images, by the way. Look at this helicopter coming in contact with one of these things in the sky. Look at the size of this thing. So in the back, look on the bottom picture here. You can see the helicopter in the background, and there's like massive craft, unlike anything I've ever seen before. Okay, like is this some sort of a man-made craft? It looks like it probably is. The Black Book Project craft that we don't know anything about. That's probably.
No, I included that last bit that had the strange picture of what looked like a sort of man-made craft.
That didn't look like a craft. It looked like
Well, it's because
funny...
you're looking at it on a screen that's that big, John, mate.
Oh.
You need to have a bigger screen to look at it at, right? If you're going to look at it on a thumbnail,
yes,
you know, it's I'm looking at it on a 27-inch screen. You're looking at it on a phone. You've got your nose up against the screen.
I know.
It looks like a rock.
Okay, it looked like a kind of rock in a kid's sort of Lego set.
No, it looks like some sort of like what you would see as an armored personnel character, but in carrier, but in the sky, next to a helicopter. Again, same as the last one. Out of context. Don't know where the photo came from. Redacted are good journalists. Those two are, and so I would be surprised if they would put something up without doing some form of due diligence of where the photograph come from. But we're all fallible. Now, I included that because this next clip, it's coming up. I've got 2 clips left. This next clip is from an ex-CIA guy who's going to be talking about some of the technology that comes out of the military, but not from the military themselves. From these military industrial contractors.
From the contractors, yeah.
From Skunk Works and General Dynamics and all of this sort of stuff that are always working on stuff. And I think this is relevant because, as our friend at Seco Activo says, there are 3 possibilities, I think he says. One is that we're being invaded by UFOs. One is that we absolutely have no idea what they are, which is at the moment true. And 2, it's that there are certain people in the CIA or the other 3 lesser agencies, that do know what they are, in line with the military-industrial complex of private contractors that make this stuff, and they're testing it out. And also, as George Knapp said to Jeremy Corbell today, whatever happens, this is a great way of judging how the public will react and the governments and all the rest of it will react.
Yes, there's all of that. That's quite interesting. There's still plenty of people who haven't heard this news. We have heard this news because it's on all of our news feed. It's brought to us, that news.
I spoke to one of my sons last night and he hadn't heard of it.
We show interest in this. But thank goodness it is on those national medias because we can prove that we're not talking rubbish when we want to share this info with our friends who don't know anything about it, of which that's the majority.
Yes, I know. So listen to this guy and what he says, and I think this is very, very, very relevant.
Well, it would be relevant if we can hear it.
I'm handling the technology here. I'm doing the sharing screen. You're just sitting there bloody commenting. Git.
Make sure you keep those bits in, Gary.
Right, here we go.
Let's take a look at another craft here.
Yeah. What is this?
This is a
like
Navy
from
craft.
Star Wars.
And the one on the right is an actual photo of the craft.
That's weird.
This craft now.
Wait, the one on the right is an actual photo?
The one on the right is an actual photo. This craft, its wings fold, and it is launched from a missile tube in a nuclear submarine. It is fired out of the missile tube with an air charge. Its missiles prepare to ignite, and it gets up out of the water. Its wings spring open. Its engine fires, and it flies. It is unmanned. It flies at supersonic speed, not hypersonic. It is a reconnaissance aircraft. But if they're admitting it's a reconnaissance aircraft, trust me, they are weaponizing it as well. They're never going to put something up just, as a sensory. It'll be an offensive jammer or it'll do something else. And if it can fly like that, they'll bring it up and they will let it kill something one of these days.
The cormorant.
The idea is that this thing will go do its job. It comes back.
Right.
Oh, that's the cormorant.
Look at the picture to the right of the cormorant on the top line. That's the rock that you were just discussing.
What, on the right-hand side?
No, it's
next
so
to it.
On the left hand, next to it. Next to the cormorant, there's a black sort of looks like an ant or an insect or something, but that's another And it's got Cormorant Navy issue, and there's another black one. Look, it says Eve Online Series 41. That looks like the thing that was near the helicopter, similar to the thing that was near the helicopter in the previous picture from Redacted. That's
Now,
why I brought.
That's
why.
interesting that they've got a drone that can be launched from a submarine.
Right.
You see,
Fired from a
nothing would
nuclear.
surprise me.
No. And so I think this is very relevant, and we can't rule out,
I think it is.
the whole secret military, technology sort of thing.
Yeah. They're not our friends, Gary.
They're not our friends, are they? These people that devise things to kill people.
No.
And let's just finish off this clip and what he says.
It dives just like a cormorant, the bird, right? It folds its wings in, it hits the water, and they're saying that right now it has to be intercept a cable and it's towed back into the missile compartment. I have it on for good authority that it's way past that point now. It can come back, it can fold its wings, it can hit the water, it finds the sub based on
the little skunk right
a
there?
homing beacon, and it goes to the submarine, folds itself up, and goes back into the missile tube.
They even got the Lockheed logo right on the side.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, that would be the big test piece of it, right?
General Dynamics.
Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, Skunk Works. People who create the weapons of destruction. So I think that's relevant. And then the last clip I've got lined up is Andrew Bustamante. Now, I don't know how to take this guy. I never know how to take ex-CIA guys. Even my teacher, as you know, who I've said recently, I kept it for years because he said don't say anything, but he was ex-CIA, and what it does when someone says that they're ex-CIA is that you never know whether they've left or not, or whether anybody can ever leave or not, and whether or not they're telling you the truth. He used to say things like, every word I say is a lie, and that's the absolute truth.
Yeah, I know a guy who I think works at MI5. I make jokes with him. I call him such and such MI5 because he's always had some very interesting jobs. Plus, he's very harsh, was in the army. He fits the bill magnificently. Working in telecommunications in different locations around the world.
Yes.
He claims he really is working for,
Anyway, this last clip is of Andrew Bustamante. It's from our friend Pavel in Secret Activo. And it's just, I think what he says here is absolutely bang on and relevant, and it should be taken into consideration with how we fit into the whole picture of what these three-letter agencies do and how they perceive all of us. Listen to this.
First of all, you've got to think that the government looks at the American population as an economic engine. They don't see them as people. They don't see them as civilians or kids or innocents. They see them as a functional, productive entity, an organism. That's job. The job of that organism is to create economic power, GDP. So the reason we keep America safe is to keep the economic engine safe that generates the GDP that pays the bills for the largest military, the most capable intelligence service in the world, which then protects the engine that generates the GDP, and you can see how the cycle goes. That's all it is. The problem is that the American people think that they should be seen as individuals. They don't realize they're a collective. Once you accept the fact that your individuality, you have independence and freedoms that were granted to you by a government that sees you as one piece of a larger organism. As soon as you threaten the organism, like a criminal does, then you get taken out. You get taken out of that organism and put somewhere else. So you are not entitled to know what the government knows to keep you safe. You're not. You're entitled to know what it takes for you to do your job as the organism that creates the GDP.
I struggle with some of that because he says we're a part of this organism that creates the GDP to pay for all of this massive technology that protects the organism. But it's not protecting the organism right now because they're all fumbling around saying they don't know what they're doing or what's happening. Yeah. Let me finish. But that's the regular people. That's the regular people. So they're being fooled. They're being treated as the organism. Because if it funds this massive thing, and we just saw that in that last clip, this satellite thing that's around the planet that scans the planet with infrared and all the rest of it. We know they've got all this technology. We know they've got these cormorants. We know they've got these things, right? So we've got hand being played here, which is showing all of these people right up to the high echelons of government who know nothing about what's really going on in the world.
Yeah.
And it's showing that there's a few, and they're mostly private contractors and connected, right, that do know all the stuff that's going on and really control and pull the strings of what happens in the world. To me, that's what's clear out of what we just looked at there.
Yes, the more you go into this subject, the more you realize it's not about the subject; it's about the rule, as I say, the rulers, and how they manipulate everything for their own interest. I'm fed up with people believing in the goodness. There we go, back to that. To believe in your government or to believe in in your public institutions is to assume they're a religion.
Yeah,
they're not a religion. It's not a matter of faith. And the institutions are not there for our benefit. They are only there for their benefit. And when you realize that, the possibilities of their machinations are infinite.
Yeah.
So sadly, I reached the point that thinking to myself, I've heard some almost ridiculous conspiracy theories over the years, ludicrous ones. But the longer this goes on, the more I begin to think that actually these people that do run things don't have a limit on morality whatsoever. And therefore, if they've done a deal with aliens as one of the so-called far-fetched conspiracies, it wouldn't surprise me, because I truly believe that our political system is so one-sided. And it doesn't matter which side of the political divide you're on, whether you can be a communist somewhere, you can be a fascist somewhere. It's not about the people. It's not about us.
I've come up with this thing. So I come up with it. I didn't come up with it. I've been coming out with this thing in the last few days about something I heard, which says that the politics on politicians is the entertainment arm of the military-industrial complex. It's there to distract us all. And what we have in what this is, I'll go back to what I just said, is that right the way up to what people that we would consider, even the president, they're ignorant to most of what's going on behind the scenes with these.
Of course, they're puppets.
They're puppets. And so the deep state, as Donald Trump and other people have alluded to, is very real. It's real. It's very connected to the development of weapons of mass destruction, and we are just prawns in the game, as you would say.
We are prawns in the game. Yeah, no, I think if you can't open your mind to the mundane truth about how we are ruled, governed, then you will never understand your place or them. And as we mentioned before, there are those people that are quite happy, and I wish them continued happiness, and I quite enjoy the fact they're not bothered about all of this. We're plagued by it, sadly, and so I obviously want to get to the bottom of it, whatever it is. How we go about that. It may be that if there is a truth, to anything, whether it's extraterrestrial or extra dimensional or something living here in the oceans, in the thing from that space, we're not going to get this truth from the institutions, from the government.
No.
We might get it from those parts of science who are open-minded. We've got the Soul Foundation run by Gary Nolan, and these people are really trying to take a scientific approach and broaden science to encompass many areas that have previously been considered taboo.
Yeah.
Studies into consciousness. There's one that keeps cropping up all the time.
Yeah.
This is not a simple matter of understanding nuts and bolts from outer space.
No.
This is something so complex and weird, but it's at the heart of human history or biological history for that matter, because again, I have discovered, or I think I've concluded to myself, that magic and mystery and the psychic and the supernatural and the paranormal are as fundamental a part of our lives as the stuff, the rational stuff, the stuff we can see, taste, feel, touch. The fact that humans from the beginning of time have always alluded to the other.
Yes.
High strangeness is an expression
High
I've learned
strangeness.
in a couple of years. But it's presumably the source of religion, spirituality.
No, it is.
Etc., etc. So to dismiss it, well, we mentioned this the other day.
We did.
To dismiss it is foolishness, and you're not really being scientific if you dismiss the non-physical side of our existence.
And acknowledge what we don't know and that what's potentially out there for us to discover. And as my hero, Jeffrey Kripal, who's looked into all of these religions that have been born out of mystical experiences and how they all correlate to each other and going way back, is all to do with consciousness and psychology, something that is very difficult to quantify in a data-driven, empirical, scientific, material experiment.
Behavioral would be the only way you can try to analyze that, because you can't look at somebody's psychic powers you know, as such. It's not material.
It's not material, exactly. John, until the next time, my friend.
Thank you, Gary. That's been a delight, and I'll probably go and finish my sandwich now. Nanu.
Live long and prosper.
May your God go with you.